Welcome everybody to Cinerama 60. I'm John and this is Mike. And
Hello.
welcome to the Summervision Summer Movie Marathon. And this week we'll be doing Mars Attacks. I don't have a Mars Attacks thing on here. I just put together a little Summervision thing, but we'll be talking about Mars Attacks this week. To explain a little bit about the Summervision movie marathon, we're going to be each week we'll each me or Mike will be picking a movie, and then we're gonna talk about it. And yeah, that's about it. And the one reason I wanted to do this, I did a video back in the summer for my channel, and it was movies that didn't necessarily may not be released in the summer, but movies that I tend to enjoy watching during the summer. I kind of get a kind of a summer vibe from them. Those are the kind of movies that I like to watch during the summer. I got certain movies like I always like to watch the Transformers movies. They kind of come out this time of year. There's certain types of movies that I want to see, like blockbusters. I always have a feel. I have a feel for blockbusters this time of year. So I don't know
That's what I was
about you,
going to
Mike.
say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say exactly. Big blockbusters and some of the bigger stuff like that. Just some that has a good vibe to it. Just, I don't know, not necessarily a movie about summertime, but just something that kind of gives you memories of the summer, of seeing this movie in the summer or something, or just has a vibe. Everyone has a vibe about certain things. So,
Yeah. So Mars Attacks is a Tim Burton movie. Came out in 1996, and Mars Attacks was basically, at least the alien portion of Mars Attacks is based on the Topps trading cards from the 60s. Was it the 50s or 60s when they came
I
out?
think, I think it was the 60s sometime.
Yeah, yeah, they were a set of cards. Well, I should know if I'd read my book here, but I just no, I haven't read it in a while. I can't remember, but I have this cool book
Oh, yeah. And
that's
Tops made them.
yeah. It actually in the back it comes with some cards, but I've never opened them. It
Oh,
comes with
wow.
some cards, and I think it may have come with. But what's cool about this is the dust cover for this book is like it's that same like waxy like baseball card paper,
Oh, wow.
like the cards would originally came in. So it's a
That's
pretty
cool.
cool book. It's got a lot of the artwork, and these cards were pretty controversial, at least with parents at the time, because some of them depict pretty gruesome
Hmm.
scenes in them. So they were kind of controversial. I'd love to have them. I didn't even I didn't even buy. I think they kind of did like a reprint several years ago, and I didn't buy them then. And those sets go for a lot of money now, so I don't. I'd love to have them though. Those I like the kind of the oddball like garbage pail kids. I mean, I have
Yeah.
tons of baseball cards. Like you probably do as well, but as I've got older, I kind of like the more oddball type cards. I wish I'd been old enough to kind of collect, which I was old enough for Garbage Pail Kids, but I wish I'd have been old enough for like the Wacky Packs and the things that preceded them in
Oh,
the 70s and early 80s, the kind of stuff that led up to the Garbage Pail Kids.
yeah. Yeah, I was a big fan of Garbage Pail Kids when I was probably 1985 was 86 was the big years for that. They were. My mom actually worked at a drugstore as I was a kid, so cards were sold in the drugstore obviously. So a lot of times I had first dibs on them because my mom would say, "Hey, we got a delivery today," and I'm like, "Oh, please get me a couple packs." So I ended up
Yes.
with a lot over time.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. For some reason I had like series 2 and then a few more series after that, and but I never did have the first series for some weird reason. Because I remember going to the store one time with my mom, and she was like, "Oh, I guess she had seen on TV where they were the big kind of the big craze." And she said, "What
Yeah,
about these cards?" And I was like, I just wasn't into them for some reason. Then I kind of maybe it was because of school and kids started talking about them. I was like, then I started having to buy them there for a
yeah,
while. but I didn't go crazy. I wouldn't. I wish I had been. I wish I'd have been a thorough collector. But as a kid, you just don't think like that. Like you do as an adult.
Yeah,
Most.
I always thought, well, I always thought they were kind of a take on the Cabbage Patch Kids because they kind of shaped like the Cabbage Patch Kid because that was the big craze around that time too. So I think they were kind
Yeah.
of giving those the finger kind of about making these, gruesome cards and stuff. But I thought that was funny. I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of counterculture kind of for a little kid.
Well, yeah, they were they actually got sued by the Cabbage Patch Kids creator.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I think after series, it might have been 6 or 7. That if you notice, they change the way they look changes. They quit being kind of that doll look and they looked kind of like dolls before, and they were supposed to. They wanted them to be like Cabbage Patch Kids, and then after that, you can see the difference in the artwork kind of change. It might be before then. It might be series 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly. It was in that time, but they did get sued by them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's closer to like the end there, like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah,
I know I had a lot of the first ones, and I had a box of those, and I don't know what happened to those over the years because obviously I opened them up and stuff like that, but I don't know what happened to them. I wish I had them still, but yeah, I
yeah,
definitely had the first 3 seasons for sure.
but is but I've always enjoyed the Mars Attacks movie. Excuse me, set it over here, but it's one of my favorite. It's actually probably one of my favorite Tim Burton's. I know people say, "Oh, Batman, Batman." I love, Batman's all great and everything. I love Batman, but I think Mars Attacks, because Mars Attacks and Ed Wood came out like maybe pretty close. They came out pretty close to each other. Was Ed Wood? Did it come out in '94 or did it come out
Uh,
later? I'd have to
I
look
think
it up here.
it was like 95, and then I think
'95.
the tax came out after that.
Yeah, because he had two. Both of those movies came out really close together, and I enjoyed both of those. I don't know if it's just the frame of mind he was in that time period, but I just like those movies. I just like both of
Hmm.
them a lot. But Mars Attacks is really up there, and I pulled out my laser disc, which I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah, I recently watched the Blu-ray of it because I haven't had
Yeah,
the chance to do that. But yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't know. It's just the artwork. I mean, Ed Wood was that. That's probably one of my favorite Tim Burton movies because. But yeah, Mars
yeah,
Attacks. I love the whole throwback to the 1950s kind of. Even the saucers look like the
yeah.
typical 1950s saucers, and I don't know. It just has a lot of fun in it. It's a lot of fun, and some of the characters are really cool. I mean, it's got a huge cast if you think about it. I mean, it's a who's who of people are in it.
Yeah, I brought up the cast here. Got Jack Nicholson, Pierce Brosnan, Sarah Jessica Parker, Annette Bening, Glenn Close, Danny DeVito, Martin Short, Michael J. Fox, Rod Steiger, Tom Jones, Lucas Haas, Natalie Portman, Jim Brown, Lisa Marie, or yeah, Lisa Marie, Sylvia Sidney, Paul Minifield. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Jack. I always forget Jack Black's in it too, and Pam
yeah,
Grier.
yeah, and Pam Grier. Yeah, Jack. At first, you don't recognize Jack Black, but he's
Yeah,
he's in for a little bit.
yeah, that's his basically probably pre Mister Show days before he was on Mister Show at first with
Oh
Bob
yeah.
Odenkirk and David Cross, if you remember the HBO
Oh man,
series.
I'm a huge fan of Mr. Show.
Yeah, and that would been right. It came out in '96, so it'd been like right at the same time.
Yeah,
So
around in there.
and I might be wrong. I don't think she's credited, but is that Christina Applegate that plays her? She just has a brief role in it, but because
It is.
I don't have the complete cast here, but she plays like Jack Black's boyfriend who's going off to be in the war or to
Yeah,
fight the aliens or to be in the army.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day, and I did some research about it, and it's she's briefly in that just that one little scene, like you'll blink and you'll miss her, but that
Yeah.
was her, which was pretty cool. It's
Yeah,
just got so many people in it. It's just wild.
I mean, that's what a director like Tim Burton will do. People just they want a bit part. He might have been friends with her for some reason. How Hollywood people are. He might have been friends and was like, hey, I'll
Mm,
step in here and come in for a day of work and
yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
some of the people. I'm sorry, I didn't mention everybody, but Joe Don Baker's in it as well. Joe Don Baker's the
Oh
dad.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Joe Don Baker and gosh, what was his mom? Who was his mom? It was Joe Don Baker, and then Jack Black's the brother. Sylvia Sidney's the grandma. I can't think of the mom's face. I can't think of her who that is.
I can kind of think of the face, and I can't remember. It don't have the full cast here on IMDb. Oh, here it is. Yeah,
Oh yeah, did you say Natalie Portman?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she's
She's the president's daughter, and Jack
yeah,
Nicholson.
yeah. That's an early role for her. I think she had already done, or maybe she hadn't done. Yeah, she had already done the what's that?
Leon,
Yeah,
Leon,
Leon. Yeah, yeah,
the professional. Actually, I guess it's professional. I don't.
yeah. It's
It's
Leon
Leon, the professional.
or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, that's a great movie too.
yeah. I really enjoy that movie.
But yeah, Sylvia Sidney, the grandma, was actually in Beetlejuice. She was the woman Beetlejuice meets when he gets sent down to the underworld or wherever. She was the one, the woman with the cigarette smoking. I think it came out of her throat, the smoke or something. That
Yeah,
little character, that was Sylvia Sidney, and she goes back to the
yeah,
1930s stuff. And I
yeah.
always
She's
thought
a
she was a really pretty, really beautiful woman, and her early days and stuff, and that was cool. That she was in some movies later
uh,
on.
do you know what? I can't find Richie's mom on here. Oh, I'll keep looking. I'm
Yeah,
going
I'm
away
drawing a
from the.
blank. I should know this, but I think there's just so many people in it, you kind of blank out on a few of them.
Yeah, and it's pretty incredible that Jack Nicholson. How many roles does he plays? At least three different roles in this, doesn't he? He
Well, he's the
plays.
president.
He's a president.
Yeah, and he's that the guy that's wanting to start a casino.
Yeah, I think there's
Oh,
one more role, isn't there? Is
there
there
might be
one more?
another one. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good as the president. I thought he was.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. He had gave it a little something that was different than other people being the president.
yeah,
I think he could almost get away with it being serious. He was serious.
yeah.
But
So,
yeah,
what to talk about it?
well, it's funny. I was also I went ran across a podcast and they were kind of joking that it was one movie that Tim Burton didn't put Johnny Depp in it. It was
Uh,
Johnny Deppless. So that was kind of funny though. But yeah, it's kind of the beginning of him using like special effects. Like later on, like movies like Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that are so CGI that it's kind of hard to watch it. I don't know. It's because it's so
yeah,
obvious, to me, anyways. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, he's starting to
I,
use the special effects and stuff. And
I personally thought it was a pretty good use of CG at the time. I like the way the aliens looked. They didn't try to make them obviously real. They were definitely cartoonish. They were supposed to be because they acted cartoonish. I like that, but they weren't cartoonish like Who Framed Roger Rabbit cartoon. They were supposed to be in a real. They supposed to have been real, but they were obviously not. So I
yeah,
mean,
I think it
I mean,
was a well, I think it was a time in Hollywood where they were still doing practical effects and they were doing
yeah,
CGI also, but doing a little bit of both before it went completely CGI. But Yeah, so it's probably cool. I mean, they probably use miniatures for the, saucers and stuff like that. There's some, but yeah, it's really cool though. I mean, and I think it's done in a way that it's kind of a real throwback to the 1950s, where it's stuff it's not super done well. It's kind of off a little bit. It kind of reminds you of the old days when they were kind of, the special effects weren't so great, and you could kind of tell. I'm surprised you didn't have strings on the saucers or something just to be
Yeah,
funny, but yeah, it's
yeah,
but yeah, I kind of got a kick out of that. Especially, I mean, if you're a fan of the 50s sci-fi, you'll
yeah,
really get a lot of the little little things in there.
yeah. It's yeah, it's full of cool stuff. I think the beginning of the movie starts out. It's actually kind of starts out a little bit frightening. You have the farm. You're in the farmyard, and they have a couple farmers standing there. And then they're like, "What is that?" And then this herd of cows that are on fire run by. It's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
it's funny. At the beginning, it says it said where it was at, and it was Lockjaw, Kentucky.
Yeah,
So I thought
yeah,
that was kind of a funny. I'm not really sure if that's real. That's a real place or that's made up. But there's some weird names here in the state of some cities and
yeah,
stuff. I thought that was funny.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but all those
It's pretty funny.
flaming, yeah, all those flaming cows. I mean, obviously that's special effects when you see it though, but it is kind of like it kind of takes you back for a minute, and you're kind of like thinking, like, could that many cows be on fire and be walking, running
Yeah,
like that and stuff? It's just kind of hilarious in a way, but
yeah.
it's kind of gruesome to a certain degree.
Well, and then when you get into the Mars attacks portion, they kind of get like almost slapstick comedy the way they start doing things. They start destroying monuments, but they mess around with them and like act like they're gonna turn it over with the spaceships, and or they're playing games with stuff. It's just hilarious, or the big giant robots, or they're bowling or something.
Yeah,
It's just hilarious some of the stuff they're doing. It's just that's what's funny about it. It's just like, hey, we're superior to you. We're just gonna fuck with you.
yeah. It's crazy, man. Because at first you really think like, oh, they're going to be like everybody's believing like, oh, they're going to be friends. They come to talk to us, and then I like the part where it just turns and they just
Yeah,
start shooting, melting people, disintegrating them. It was like, wow, that was kind of I wasn't expecting that, when I first saw it.
yeah. They release the peace doves, and they shoot the doves.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of scared
Yeah,
them or something, and they went off. But
yeah.
yeah.
Like Annette Benning's, like she's like kind of the hippie peacenik person.
Mm.
She's like kind of that typical person who's like married to or is a girlfriend to like some really rich dude, but she's like the kind of the hippie and like peace and love and stuff. But she's married to somebody that's like a billionaire or something. It
Yeah, and
don't make sense.
she's into like crystals and like mystical stuff and like
Yeah,
it's funny, yeah, kind of new agey.
yeah.
And then did she play two parts also, or she was just that
I think
one?
she was just that one.
Okay, because I remember a part where she was up on in the mountain, kind of watch overlooking the city when it
That
all
that's
started. So,
that's at the very end. Whenever they're
oh
when she
yeah,
escapes with Tom Jones in his plane and they fly up to the mountain. That's at the very end where he's like holding a bird. A bird flies in and lands when his song plays, whatever the name of that song is. Everything is beautiful tonight.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
that
I just couldn't think of it already.
it's super popular. They play it with so many like Las Vegas movies or something like that.
Yeah,
But if I'd have been better prepared, I apologize. I've been working around the house here a bunch, working on the tractor and just mowing and stuff. So I just didn't get to sit down and watch it. I was going to sit down and watch it and make notes. But what I probably should have done is we should have structured it as like talk about each individual storyline that's going on, because there's some interesting things like the Martin Short storyline. Martin Short's like a kind of this. He's like a go. What do you call it?
like a gopher.
Gopher. He's like a
Yeah.
gopher. Yeah, for the president essentially, or for I think he's like a chief of staff or something, isn't he? I think it's his kind of official title. But he's always trying to pick up prostitutes and ends up picking
Oh
up
yeah.
the alien prostitutes who's dressed as who's fixed up as a woman to look like a hot blonde, and he picks her up and
Yeah,
you
that's
know
a fun part. Yeah,
yeah
it's just so goofy. I don't know. It's yeah. You know, you had the different that one guy that played one of the generals. He looks, you know, it's supposed to be like Colin Powell. He looks
yeah
a lot like Colin Powell, and that's obviously who they were basing it on. And then you had Rod Steiger as the kind of the warmonger general. You
yeah
know, he's
yeah
but really he was right. You know, he was right
yeah
to begin with. They should have
yeah
just did something, but you know, but
yeah.
yeah,
But
it's
Jack
pretty cool.
Nicholson keeps falling back. No, we better just. Oh well, because he's always because his characters is always in competition with Pierce Brosnan's character, who's the science. Pierce Brosnan is the scientist in this movie.
Mhm.
It'd probably been better if I'd have read all the the characters and what they've done. I'm sorry if because it has to be confusing for people who haven't seen it. It's been out so long. I've seen it so many times that I feel like everybody's just seen it. But I know we could have some younger people watching it don't has never watched this movie. But Pierce Brosnan plays a scientist, that's why you kind of got to explain the Michael J. Fox and excuse me, what's her name?
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Parker. Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker. They both are broadcast anchors for two competing companies, but Sarah Jessica Parker is more like pop culture and like glamour type of television show, and he's like a serious news anchor, but she keeps getting the good scoops with like the scientist and everything. She gets to interview him like on her show, and he keeps getting mad, and but Pierce Brosnan ends up being at arm. He kind of always he's always given preferential treatment over like the general, because they want to like communicate with the aliens at first and try to get along with them, and then but the generals always say we need to bomb them, bomb them, and he's like, no, they may they keep sending the coded messages, and
Yeah,
they keep saying no, we want to be friends, and he's like, no, we need
yeah,
to bomb them.
yeah. Really, Pierce Brosnan's kind of a dummy in a way. He's kind of, you know, but they all listen to him like his advice is the best, you know.
Yeah,
But really, it's kind of like, yeah, he doesn't really know any more about it than anybody else, really. But they just kind
yeah,
of listen to him, you know. That's kind of the running gag with that. Of course, she's Sarah Jessica Parker's obsessed with him a little bit, and they have their interview, and they're, you know, she's just
yeah,
gushing over him and everything and stuff. So,
yeah. He's like the tall, dark, and handsome guy,
yeah,
and
yeah. With his, I thought that was cool that he had the pipe. He would smoke a pipe. It really
yeah,
gave his character a little something to it. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I guess about that time period is when he did Dante's Peak and Pierce Brosnan, excuse me. I
Yeah,
enjoyed Dante's Peak myself, but I'm not going to get off on that tangent. But it's about the same time period, 95, 96. I think Dante's Peak come out right around that era, maybe between 94 and 96. And of course, he was doing James Bond at that time period as well. So,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. He was still doing James Bond. And,
yeah,
well, yeah, he did James Bond until the last guy, right? I
yeah,
always forget his name.
yeah.
Always
Until,
forget his
yeah, until you said it, I forgot it too.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
he did it then and stuff. But
yeah. Movie guys can't remember some.
yeah.
Ooh, I don't know what I'm thinking tonight. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
trying to hold in all this information we have sometimes, you know, I always come to I blank out a lot. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Daniel Craig, excuse me.
Yeah,
Um,
Daniel Craig, yeah.
yeah, and let me think what else I was going to talk about the movie. There's so much to talk about. I mean, then you got Jim Brown. He's the
Former
in fact,
boxer.
yeah, he's married to Pam Grier. Well,
Yeah,
well, there. I think Pam Grier is his ex-wife technically, and they have a
yeah.
couple of kids. And but he's an ex-boxer working as a kind of a sideshow guy at the at a casino.
Yeah.
Basically, he just dresses up in like Egyptian costumes and walks around and just kind of. I get he's supposed to be like a former famous boxer, and he just kind of greets people and is like, yeah, takes pictures with people. That's his job. And
Yeah.
then he's they kind of hint at that maybe in the past he'd been kind of heavy for some some kind of kingpin or something, work
Oh,
people over for money because a guy comes and tries to get him to do that kind of work, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going straight."
yeah.
So
Well, there's a funny part about his wife, Pam Grier. There's a scene where it shows her back home, and she's a bus driver. She's like the city bus driver, and
yeah,
their boys had been like not home for a few days, and they didn't know where they were. And she's driving. All of a sudden, she sees them playing video games, and she like slams on the brakes and runs in there and gets them in there and starts smacking them around. It's like, get in that bus. And I
yeah,
thought it was funny because everybody on the bus started cheering. They're like, yeah, and it's like, it's kind of funny because that's what kids need nowadays. And that would be an ultra crime to, smack your kid. Like, what are you thinking? But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a funny little scene there.
yeah. Well, and the thing is like those scenes with the boys are also setup scenes as well because they're both playing this shoot 'em up game where they you actually it's one of the arcade games that had the actual guns and you shoot and they're both playing and they're crisscrossing each other and shooting, and then it flashes to a later scene where they're at home and they're both playing the same game. It's like an alien shooting game. So that pays off later on when they're at a White House tour, and that's when the aliens attack and the couple of aliens die around them, and they pick up the lasers and start shooting like they're playing the game, and they're like crisscrossing each other and you know pay melee attack, whatever, this like they're playing the video game, and they're like being very effective at
Yeah.
their strategy. So it's kind
So,
of funny.
so it was worth it, all their practice at
Yeah,
video games, it kind of came in handy and stuff. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
it's got so many funny little
It's
vignette
just
things like that.
the little things about that movie that's what it makes it to me. It's just got so much going on. It's just and it's got kind of and it feels like it was all it's a Hollywood movie, so a lot of it's shot in Hollywood and around that area, so it feels summer. That's what makes it feel like a summer movie to me.
Mm,
I meant to look and see what day it was released exactly. Let's see here. It should
yeah.
say here. I hate whenever it doesn't say all the information on IMDb. It
Yeah,
just says a year. Let's see if it says it says the month. I feel like it was released in the summer. I don't know exactly.
yeah, but it came out after Independence Day, didn't it? Like they were close together, or maybe the
Well,
summer before.
yeah, it's pretty close. I'm trying to see here.
Yeah, it's like when I was listening to that podcast briefly, somebody brought up the thing like Mars Attacks kind of uses a lot of the same plot as Independence Day, just different characters and different stuff. And I was kind of and I thought, well, maybe base stuff, but it's all the little characters. It's all the little funny little stuff that Mars Attacks is that's differentiates it from Independence Day.
Yeah,
Because Independence Day just had like Will Smith basically for kind of comic you know moments and
yeah.
stuff. But
It does have a did you know section here. It's a little trivia section on Internet Movie Database. Now this isn't nothing like if being the older movies and people like Marilyn Monroe and some of those costumes. Marilyn Monroe and I just got that movie.
Hmm.
Uh,
Not Mammy Van Doren, but
no, the other blonde.
yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, Jane Mansfield.
Jane Mansfield. Yeah, and but this is just this trivia here is about how Lisa Marie had to be sewn into her costume. It was so tight, you know. But that's how they did with like some of those. Like I'm not sure about Marilyn Monroe, but I know Jane Mansfield was like that because she wore like super skin tight. Like, is it Mansfield or is that who I'm thinking about? Is it
Yeah,
Mansfield or
Jane Mansfield. Yeah.
it might have been another actress as well that they did that with? But oh, I know. I'm sorry, I know who it is. Mike, I'm just all over the place tonight.
Oh no, man.
Sorry
Once
about
I get a thought,
anybody. Sorry about anybody watching. I'm just
no, you're like me, man. I get a thought in my head, and I kind of want to like, make sure that's what I'm talking about. So I'll grab something, but I'm pretty sure it's James Mansfield because I
I
think that was
seen too many things. No, it's the one I'm thinking about that they talked about did it for sure was crap.
yeah. I wish I had it nearby. Look.
Yeah, I'm sorry everybody. I'm reading here. This I getting this name. I'm my bad. Oh, Jean Harlow. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jean
Yeah,
Harlow.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say Lisa Marie was. I think she was married to Tim Burton at that time, or she was
Was
dating
she?
him, or she was married or something before he got with what's her name that was in a bunch of his movies. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure she was married. He was married to her during that. That's why she's in it. She's always got little bit parts in a lot of his movies.
Yeah, but Jean Harlow, because I watched a documentary. I was trying to think where did I see that at? Where they were talking about it was Jean Harlow. Because if you watch with Jean Harlow, she wore those like silk nighties, so they put her in a lot, and they were like skin tight. Like I mean, didn't leave much for the imagination. But they said that they were so tight that they had to sew her into them, and that they were so tight she couldn't even sit down. They had these special like things she could lean up against and like rest her arms, but she couldn't
Hmm.
sit down or go to the bathroom or anything throughout the shoot.
Yeah, that was
It's just
that was
crazy.
very common. I just
Yeah,
got that Mae West box set, and I was reading the book yesterday. I read it, the whole little booklet that came with it, and she was talking
yeah,
about that. And she said in some scenes she would be in an outfit, and she would be so tight in it that she couldn't bend over, or really move. So they would film her in such, this scene, this scene, this scene, and then she would have to
yeah,
change it to another version of it to where she could bend over and stuff. And it's
yeah,
funny because you don't see that, when you watch the movie, you think it's all one costume and stuff. And I thought that was really interesting about, costumes and how natural they look, but how unnatural it is, to normal people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Yes, yeah. Something I was watching a documentary I was watching the other day. They were talking about I forget what actress it was, but so she didn't like to be filmed. The actors didn't like to be filmed on her like the left side of her face. So and she they would film everything, and they would even have to design sets so they could only film the one side of her face because she's
Yeah.
people say, well, you get my left's better than my right
Yeah. Was
because
that
people
was that Marlene Dietrich? Was that
no,
Marlene?
well, she could have been like that, but this wasn't who this wasn't. I'm sorry, the movie it's in the other room. The movie I watched.
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think of the person too, but yeah, they had to design everything around that one side. Her like right side was her good side or something. I don't know. And
Yeah, it's the actor who was talking about it is in Major and Minor, the Billy Wilder movie. I can't think of his name right off the bat.
oh yeah, Billy Wilder and
Yeah,
Ray Milland.
Ray Milland. Yeah, because he went on to be a director too, and he was talking about
Hmm.
directing this person, and that she only wanted to be filmed on one side, or maybe he worked with her or something. But he was like he only because he was talking about he was like kind of the same way. I mean, he wasn't particular about it, but he said, "Well, my left side's my best side," you know. And one of
Hmm.
these people, they get that because people, you're both sides of your face aren't identical. You know,
Hmm.
most people,
Yeah, I know mine is. It's different.
you
One,
know,
I got a side that looks different than the other side. So, but it's
yeah,
weird when you figure that out. You look in the mirror sometimes, and you're like, yeah, it is a little. It's yeah, it's different. Yeah,
yeah,
I think my right side is different from my left for sure.
yeah. They were talking about the. I think Amber Heard, like since she's been in the news, they were. I was watching a YouTuber who was talking to doing like facial, recognition when these type of people it does that stuff or does facial behavioral studies. And they
Mm-hmm.
were. I think she has like a very symmetrical face. Like her face is kind of close. When you compare it side to side, whenever you mirror it, it's not quite perfect. But she's considered one of these people that has a fairly symmetrical face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah. That whole trial's been just craziness, man.
yeah. If anybody, whoever's watching out there, if you have any comments, leave your comments. We appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Today's today's show was kind of thrown together at the last minute. Next week I'll be a little more prepared. I'm gonna have more time. I've about got everything done. So
Yeah, what are we going to talk about next week or next time?
uh, I think you wanted to do Jaws,
Oh yeah,
wasn't it?
Jaws.
I think we may have GCap on with us. I'll say that now, but I'll have to talk to him again. He said he'd do it, so
Yeah, we need to get him on there. That'd be cool.
he's a big fan of it, and I felt like bringing him on. We'll have some guests every now and then for this series if
Yeah.
everybody likes that. If we can figure out some other people
I mean,
who want to be on.
back to just talking about like summer movies. I mean, when me and you were talking about it for a minute, quickly in my mind, Jaws popped up because I thought that's probably considered one of the first blockbusters. Kind of where they really started Hollywood from then to now, where they're really looking at the gross and how much money it makes on a weekend and record sets and everything. But it's also such a fun movie. I mean, it takes place during the summer. You got the beach and water, and I don't know. It just screams summertime on it stuff, and that's what I was thinking. And um, but yeah, that one and like some other like we thought about Independence Day and stuff like that. I mean, I guess if
Yeah,
anybody's watching and you guys got any ideas, just let us know in the comments, like what your opinions are on summertime
yeah,
movies.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because there's
Because when I talk, because a lot of times me and Mike do a lot of try to do a lot of classic older movies that a lot of people haven't probably haven't watched or haven't heard of, and more avant-garde stuff, I guess. And when I told Mike when I wanted to do this, I thought if we're going to do the series, I kind of like to kind of we're going to throw some of those in there. I do want to do like Vanishing Point, and I think we ought to do Vanishing Point and Black. Well, I went blank, but Vanishing Point, and
yeah,
there's another car chase movie, well, another movie, the Dennis
like
Wilson movie. But
Duel takes place like
yeah,
it's got the hot sun and it's like in the
yeah,
desert. It just kind of
yeah.
screams summer for some reason, heat and stuff like
We
that.
we may do like a car chase multiple movie night or something one
Yeah,
night. Do
there's a bunch of good car chase movies like that. But yeah, Vanishing Point is one of the best. One of the, I mean, it's kind of a cult classic. Kind of people
yeah,
forget about. Another one that people forget about in that category is I got it right
Dirty
here.
Larry, Crazy Mary.
Well, yeah, that's one of them. But gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's got the guy from the Beach Boys, I think, is in it.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about. I can't. It's Blacktop. Um,
Yeah, I thought I had it like right close to me, but I don't. Oh, okay. Blacktop, two lane blacktop.
Yeah. I'm blanking the night. I'm having a bad memory night. Yeah, 2 lane blacktop. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Was thinking about. I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this Eureka edition of it.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
pretty
a
cool.
yeah, it's like a steel book, a Eureka steel book.
That's cool.
And yeah, I didn't really pay much for that at all.
What's
It
the
was brand new.
director's name? I always forget his name, but he's done like some westerns, and I always
Oh
forget his name.
Monty Hellman.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't he do? Isn't I've got there's a you probably have it as well. It's that Criterion. It's a like two. It's a two western. Like they're like indie westerns. And didn't he direct both of those, or at least one of them, or
Yeah, I
both of
believe
them? I
so.
think. I think.
Or one of them might be Jack Nicholson's. I don't have that one, but I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Um, yeah, he directs one of them for sure. There might
yeah,
be both of them, but I was
yeah,
thinking that Jack Nicholson did one of them, but I don't know. I might be off on that.
yeah.
But yeah, I can't think
But
of those either, man. But I can picture it. I just can't think of the names. But yeah, that's a good release. Of
well,
course,
it's
it's out of print.
I'll get it here in a minute. I'll get it up and get it here in a minute. And
Okay.
but but yeah, he's that's a excellent 2 lane blacktop's an excellent movie.
Hmm.
Being a big car guy, when I seen it several years ago, I said I can't believe I haven't seen this. And two, I'm a big Beach Boys fan. Dennis Wilson
Yeah.
and Dennis Wilson and what's the singer's name in it?
It's got
It's a
Dennis.
weird combination, and
Yeah. Uh,
I always forget his name. It's an unexpected.
well, it's got Warren Oates is the guy they race.
Yeah,
Yes, Dennis Wilson and James Taylor.
James Taylor. Yeah,
Yeah.
James Taylor's the driver, and Dennis Wilson's the mechanic. Basically, I don't know if that's how
Yeah.
they're listed, but it's that's kind of the dynamic in the. Because I mean, any car lover would love that movie because it's just them. They're kind of, he's every time they stop, Dennis Wilson's under the hood, like working on the motor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's like one of the
Yeah,
best cult
yeah,
classics and stuff. And Warren
yeah.
Oates in it. I mean, I really love Warren Oates. I mean, he's one of the best like supporting actors ever. I mean, he was in so many good movies in the '70s and stuff. He was actually from Kentucky,
Was
actually, and
was Warren Oates from Kentucky as well? I didn't know he was.
yeah, yeah. Warren Oates is who I'm talking about. He, he
Yeah.
was he was in so many good movies, and I'm
Well,
trying
it
to think.
has.
Stripes was his last movie. I think he died right after that. But
Yeah.
I thought that he's just been in so many good movies. He always turns in a good performance and stuff.
Yeah, and it also has another Kentucky actor in it, Harry Dean Stanton. He's got a
Oh,
bit part, if you remember.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
He plays a really weird part. It's kind of weird that Harry Dean. I mean, that shows Harry Dean's commitment to being an actor because he would definitely the character he plays in that is definitely not. He's definitely not him in reality because he plays
yeah.
like he comes on to Warren Oates, like he's like a gay guy. He kind of comes
Oh,
on to him.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little part and stuff. Yeah,
it's like a little
yeah.
weird.
But he was always happy at being kind of a supporting guy and stuff. And
Yeah,
that's I think he was in I think one movie that he was the star of. Just a few movies he was starred in, but mostly he was always supporting. But
yeah. That's I have it over here on Criterion. I can't think of the name of it right off the bat.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Paris, Texas.
Paris, Texas. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
hmm,
there's a good documentary about him. Um, it came out a few years before he died, and it's
yeah,
really cool. I mean, he's a very humble guy, very just a cool guy. I mean, cool as can be and stuff, and he's kind of the real
yeah.
deal. He was not made up and egotistical. He's just who he was, almost who you saw on the screen. Really, almost he was just that guy.
Yeah, technically he's listed from I'm from Irvin, and he's listed from Irvin, Kentucky. It's technically he's listed from West Irvin, Kentucky, but that's just a joke because I mean there is a West Irvin, but it's not that big, you know. So it's it's just Irvin. It's a small town, but
Yeah,
but I mean he's so old. He was so old that like that generation, I never knew any of that. I didn't even know that till I was an adult, till he was even from there. So nobody even talked about him being from Irvin. Nobody, there's no commemorative. It'd be cool to do something like that for him, but I mean, he I think he just had to pick a place where he's from because he's kind of moved around. He's like Johnny Depp. You know, Johnny Depp was technically from Kentucky, but he moved when he's fairly young to Florida, I believe. And I mean, he wasn't real young. I think he's a teenager, but he kind of he says he's from Kentucky. So
yeah.
yeah,
Owensboro, I think.
yeah,
Um, well, I read somewhere where Kentucky has like the most counties of all the states. Like we have so many counties instead of a lot of those little ones kind of merging and becoming just one county.
yeah,
They hang on to being this small town with like 1,000 people or 800
yeah,
people, something like that, which is kind of cool, you know. But
yeah.
over the weekend, I went down to Tennessee and hung out with some friends for a few days. I got to it was southern Kentucky. It was like on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. But that, I mean, it's such beautiful country down there. Just down, it's just nothing. You know, some parts. You know, it's just such
Yeah.
beautiful place and stuff. But you know, off the subject for a minute. But just
Well, it's kind of funny. Earlier in the week, well, no, this past Sunday, my dad was wanting to. He was a little look at an old truck. Somebody he used to work with. He was wanting to sell, and he wanted to go look at it. And the guy lived in Hazard, Kentucky. I don't know if you've been down in that part of Kentucky
I think I drove
before.
through it.
Well, I mean, it's like night and day. You know, I don't know how it is exactly in your area, but this, you know, kind of from Richmond on west is kind of flat. It kind of gets flat. It's not, but whenever you're in eastern Kentucky, it's kind of like West Virginia. That's because eastern Kentucky is where the Kentucky coal fields are. So it's like it's just mountains and valleys, and people live in the hollers, you know, the valleys, and it's just like West Virginia. I've been in the West Virginia coal fields before up in there, and it's exactly the same. You know, it's a lot of poverty, a lot of poor people, and a lot of then it's just a weird place to be. But he lived like way back in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
and it's cool going back in there. It kind of sucks for those people these days because it used to be. I say it's impoverished, but it's impoverished, but it is more so now because there's no coal work anymore. It's just not like it used to be. I mean, coal
yeah,
industry when I was a kid was booming because Irvin was you know, Irvin had we had a place called Southeast Coal, which was a coal wash, and that's where my dad worked when I was a baby. And they washed coal that came out of probably the Hazard area, came out of that area, but they and it used to go to Kentucky Utilities, and they had a big contract with them. So they we used to have just a huge train yard here. We used to seeing trains, you know.
yeah. That's
So
something I miss. Seeing lots of trains and stuff.
yeah,
They don't use much anymore. But I mean, it kind of sucks. I mean, about the mines when a lot of the mines shut down out there, that there wasn't any other industry. You know, it looks like if they could have other industry there back then, just besides
yeah,
just the coal fields and stuff. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's messed up. It really is. It's just a. I mean, I don't know.
yeah. They well, the problem was there were so many. There were, I mean, but everything supported the coal industry. You know, you had heavy machinery, you know, places, and you had, you know, everything was set out to support the coal industry. So when the coal industry died, you know, it was just it, you know, there was nothing. no
Yep.
other infrastructure there. There was nothing people could do. You had tons of people that were just independent truck drivers. That drove the coal out of the hills. That was the worst thing about. That was the worst thing back in the day. Like going back in those areas, it was scary because you just passing big giant trucks all the time.
Oh
Down
yeah.
little small roads, and it was
Little one
crazy.
lane roads and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it was dangerous. It was kind of like a ripple effect. I mean, once that went down, it, like you said, support, it affected the drivers, it affected companies that supplied equipment and factories that made those equipment. Yeah, it was
yeah,
a ripple effect. It was horrible. I mean, it really,
yeah,
it's, I mean, that's, if anybody wanted to ever see where, the effect of something going out and it affecting the area completely, I mean, that's a good case to look at because that literally
yeah,
took everybody to poverty right after that because it was just
yeah.
gone,
It in those areas, really. I mean, they're pretty bad anyways because that's just how it is up in there. I mean, people live independently, and I mean, some people choose to live that way. I mean, this guy that we went to, he was, he a real intelligent guy. He wasn't like some hillbilly that lived up in there. He was like a state inspector,
Yeah,
and he just chose to live way back in there. Just some people
yeah,
like to. I mean, there's some freedom about living in a place like that way back 'cause you don't have to deal with a lot of people, and but at the same time you're extremely isolated at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah. That's the way I would live. Maybe not that isolated, but I would like to live out and just have the peace of the forest and maybe a creek or a pond or something. You know what I mean? Just something. I mean, I live in a small subdivision, but it's not. We're not like it's a quiet subdivision, but I would like that. I mean, I can see
Yeah,
that. I can see why he would want to live out there. It's very peaceful.
yeah,
You know, but yeah, I mean, just thinking about that. I mean, there's a lot of actors that's come from Kentucky over the years, and we just don't.
yeah,
Kentucky's really just not thought about much. It's not
yeah,
known for sports teams besides our college teams, and we don't have major league stuff, and we don't have it's I don't know, but it's a great state. Just I don't know, it's kind
yeah.
of thought of as hillbillies and stuff like that, and it's really not like that. But
Well, we actually have quite a few. Well, I mean, we're technically we usually go Democrat for our governors and stuff like that, which usually a kind of a liberal state as far as voting goes for the most part. I think we did vote Trump the last two elections, but
mm,
I mean that's a
yeah, I always thought it was like we voted Democrat for governor, but usually went Republican for president.
president.
Something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, it's kind
yeah.
of odd, but yeah, I think that's usually how it went.
It's probably because more people come out to vote for presidential elections than maybe the government gubernatorial elections, I guess.
Yeah,
So I don't really know if that's why, but it's seemed like the midterms they'll have low turnouts because people just don't care as much.
yeah. Yeah, there's elections all the time that little local ones and stuff, and I'll be honest, I don't go to a lot of the little ones either. I kind of forget, At least around
Yeah.
here, we always got somebody running for like a magistrate or a new sheriff or something like that. So
Well, it's kind of weird around here. A lot of people I listen to politically, they're always like, you need to make sure, you need to pay attention to what goes on locally in your area, and I agree with you. And it's something I don't do that much. But the reason I don't do it is because I don't know if it's like that where you live, but we don't have a lot of local problems. We don't have a lot of crime. We don't have a lot of problems. A lot places have. We got our roads are fairly well maintained. It seems like the government works, so I don't think about it as much. I can understand living in a crime-ridden city that's a crap hole. Then I might have more interest in my local government than see what they're up to. And
But yeah,
I'm not saying that that's a good thing to be. I do want to educate myself more on the local people, but it's just we just I don't have personally around here we don't have a lot of trouble, you know.
mm, but it seems like that's probably where a lot of stuff starts. Your local government on up. It starts
Yeah,
starting there because, especially when you're trying to get bills passed in your local state house,
yeah,
you need your representatives and stuff to really
yeah.
speak for you and stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of here or there, kind of. I don't know. It just depends. But like you said, I mean, I live in an area where it's not a lot of crime or anything either. Just moderate, but no problems really. I think major problems
Well,
anyway.
well, I'm sure we have crime. Richmond's not a small place, you know. It's a probably I guess it's definitely in the top 10 most populated cities in Kentucky, but I don't know if it's probably somewhere in the top 10 there, but I'm not sure where.
Yeah, y'all got a Bucky's now, don't you?
Yeah,
That big
yeah,
gas station place.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I haven't been there yet. My parents went there and brought me a sandwich, but I haven't went over there because it's evidently just an absolute madhouse with people
that's
going to it.
yeah, that's crazy, man. I just saw a picture of it and it had like 30 gas pumps or something. It was just like massive. Like wow, people
Yeah.
from all around are driving to the gas station
Well,
and to check it out.
well, it's
But
got like a big the funny thing is it's got all those gas pumps, but it's not a truck stop. You know, that's the thing. It's just a car place for cars to go. It's not a. It doesn't have diesel pumps, or at least it doesn't have like big rig diesel pumps. So
yeah,
it's just set up for. But it's like a shopping area too. You can shop, and they got all food, and it's crazy. But they got all kinds of stuff you can buy there apparently. So I don't know. Like I
yeah,
say, I haven't been there yet myself. But
yeah,
it's been backing up traffic onto the interstate. People getting on to the getting on the off ramp. They can't handle the flow of traffic getting off to stop there.
yeah. It was weird. One day I saw something popped up. I was scrolling through stuff and it had a Bucky's shirt, and I was like, what is Bucky's? And I started looking into it, and something popped up, coming soon to Richmond. Big Bucky. And I was like, wow, what is all this? Like all of a sudden I never heard of it before, and now all of a sudden it's just this. So
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of funny.
kind of
Around here, anytime something new opens, a new fast food place, new restaurant, it just gets overrun for like you might as well not even try to go there for like a month or two until it dies off because
yeah,
everybody in town goes there. Everybody in the this Richmond's always been. It's not as bad, I guess, since a lot of the these little towns went wet around here because a lot of the counties and things were dry all around Madison County. So a lot of people used to come to Madison County for their liquor. So you had a lot of big influx of there. But for a long time, this area is the only place that had like a Walmart and had it still is. It's still where a lot of people come to do their shopping. So we get a lot of traffic over here.
yeah. That's how Hardin County was about 10
Yep.
years ago or more. That we went wet because we were famously dry forever. We'd have to
Yeah.
go to the other county. Some people like you tell them this story, and you're like, "What are you talking about? Wet and dry and stuff." And it's
Yeah.
it's it's Kentucky had a lot of wet or dry places where you couldn't get
Yeah.
liquor and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Estill County, where I grew up in, was dry up until just 5 years ago, maybe 10, 5 or 10 years ago, but very recently became
yeah,
wet, and that's just like a revelation there because if you live out west, you live in more progressive areas or more liberal areas. You don't. This is what it's like in the Bible Belt. You have a lot of that,
yeah,
and you have a lot of people from churches that get out, and there's no problem. I don't have any problem with the people. I think it's a little tacky getting out and protesting places because what good's it going to do you really? But they get out.
yeah,
The church groups get out there and protest the liquor stores. When they were
yeah,
first coming in, they don't anymore. But
yeah. I mean, the big thing was, it's kind of dangerous for people that really neither drink. They're going to go drive a long ways to get alcohol, and they'll end up drinking and driving. It could be more
Yeah.
dangerous going
Yeah.
down end of your street to a gas station or something, pick up something. So I mean, it's debatable. Like everything, it's pros and cons, and
Yeah.
but yeah, it is kind of early 20th century stuff. It goes way back to you know.
Prohibition. It's after Prohibition. I think a lot of places decided not to go wet again. I don't know if there was a lot of dry areas before Prohibition, or that kind of came along after the repeal of Prohibition. I'm not really sure. I've watched that documentary Prohibition. I should know, but I don't think they really talk about that, about
Yeah,
the after effects of it. If that's kind of a after effect of Prohibition, of the dry counties and things like that. People just refuse to go back to liquor.
yeah.
Back
It
to
was probably like that in some places where they probably never had alcohol. Probably, going
yeah
way back or something. But
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we got way off of Mars Attacks, but it's but I
Yeah, we took a
we
detour.
talked quite a bit about it. You know,
Yeah,
I enjoy talking about a little bit of everything
yeah.
myself.
But yeah, like about the aliens. I mean, they were very. Every time I see the aliens, I think of the 1950s movie "This Island Earth," where they had those one creatures where they look like they're. It's hard to describe what it looks like, but for some reason, it
Yeah,
just always reminds me of that creature.
yeah,
But they don't look the same, but they have something in common. I'm not sure what it is.
yeah. I can never forget This Island Earth. Of course, I have the regular version, but of course, Mystery Science Theater did it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, the Mystery Science Theater story, because they had to pick a movie. They came to them and said, we want to make a movie version of Mystery Science Theater. So they went to who released that? Was that Paramount? They did that from, or was it
Uh, I want to say
who?
Universal.
Yeah, Universal, because that's who released. Because it was always it's Universal International who released
Hmm.
This Island Earth, because they make a
Yeah.
joke about it in Mystery Science Theater. Said Universal International, isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah. Yeah.
But they went to Universal to, and they went through movie after movie, and it was just like some of the classic movies are just, they're too good to really do Mystery Science Theater. They just couldn't find anything. They really had to just settle on This Island Earth, and
Yeah.
they cut it to pieces too. It's cut down very short. It's only like a 90-minute run, I believe. It's only an hour and a half, isn't it? I believe
What the
the movie's just an hour and a half. The movie's just an hour and a half. Mystery Science Theater, the movie's only an hour and a half, I believe. And
Yeah.
they had to cut the crap out of it because it's longer. This Island Earth's a longer movie, and they cut out some stuff, and they weren't really happy they had to do it, but they were kind of forced into it because they said you can only have such a long movie, and they had to cut it to fit. And the way they work on Mystery Science Theater, how they write the scripts, I think they kind of had to cut it first, and then they had to write the jokes to it because I think everything, the way they would do stuff, they had to write. They had to. They actually had a timing mark where they would say a joke, and they actually just shot up against, I think, a blank screen. They didn't actually were watching the movie at the same time, I believe. They just shot up against like a blue screen or something, and they got the silhouette shot, and then
Mhm.
they combined it together. I believe I might be wrong about that exactly. Somebody that's a big Mystery Science Theater fan, but everything they did, all their jokes were written in a script. The jokes are written to a script at a certain time point, so it was timed to the point that the joke was written to in the movie, so it would line up with where they were telling the joke. So it's actually, when you watch the show, you're like, it flows so good, but it was actually such a huge constructive process to put it
Yeah.
together. You
Well,
know,
they probably talked off screen, kind of like animation. They probably had something to go by, so they
yeah,
probably put the voice, audio track, and then with silhouette, with blue or green screen or whatever. And yeah,
yeah,
like you said, that's pretty cool how they combined all of that to make
yeah,
something look simple. And
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I think the guys who did the puppets, which they obviously changed, which the original were Trace Bellew and did Frank Conniff do
I'm not. I can't remember the
I think
name.
Trace Bellew, he did Crow. He was the original Crow,
Hmm.
and who did? I apologize. I'm blanking on the guy who did Tom Servo.
Yeah, Tom Servo, and then there's
It wasn't somebody else originally done him. It's not Frank Conniff because Frank Conniff was TV's Frank. He was the one of the Mads. It's Trace Bellew and Frank Conniff were the Mads. If you know the original Clayton
yeah,
Forrester, the mad scientist, that's Trace Bellew.
yeah.
And,
Um,
Frank.
wasn't the host what's his name? The host guy. I'm trying to think if he did one of the other voices.
No, he just did. He was the guy in the. He was always the human element in
Oh, okay.
the trio.
Yeah,
So
I
he
could have
was
been.
yeah. Well, I'm blanking on his name too. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
love
I'm
Mystery
sorry.
Science Theater back in the
Yeah,
day, early '90s and stuff. Like we didn't get
yeah,
Comedy Central on our cable package where we live. So when I went to my grandpa's house, it was like on, man. It's like I would just sit in front of it. I would watch those things and just love it. Like they had Turkey Day or something, and they would have all of them. It
yeah.
was, man, it was so funny, man, back in the day.
Well, that's why I've always been so adamant about collecting the DVD sets, is because we didn't have Comedy Central in Irvin, and because the way I've kind of found out about it was some of my friends, their parents were divorced, and my friends that lived down the street from me, and they would go stay at their dad's who lived here in Richmond at the time. They would come over here and they would watch, and they would come back and say, "Hey, we watched this thing called Mystery Science Theater. It's these, pup." And so that's the way I first got interested in it. And then finally I moved to Richmond with my parents when I was in high school, and so I was able to watch some of that. So I was
Hmm.
always intrigued with it and loved the concept, and
Hmm.
and it's a great way to see a lot of bad movies because some of their commentary is hilarious on them.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a show very very similar to it that came on like in the early to mid '80s, and it was called Mad Movies, and it was similar. They would have a cheesy public domain type movie, and they would
Yeah,
talk over it. Like they would do the voices of the guys, like, "Hey, what the," they would. It was
yeah.
so funny, but it's kind of based on that. I think you can find some of it on YouTube. It's called Mad Movies.
I have to
Because I,
check that out. I didn't know
yeah,
anything kind of preceded that of doing the same thing.
yeah, I remember it like definitely around '84, not or '85. I was like maybe 7, and it came on like once a week, like after the news or something on some
Yeah.
like I
Scu-
don't know. But yeah, it's a whole lot like that. But obviously, Mystery Science Theater is a lot better. It's got a lot more production design and you know
yeah.
and stuff.
Joel Hodgson was the guy that
That's what I was
he created it, and he was the host. He was
yeah,
the original host. He was there for 4 seasons, four
yeah,
and a
four
half
or 5 seasons.
seasons, and then he left, and then it became Mike Nelson became the host, and
I always think I like Joel better though for some reason. I like Mike too.
well,
It seemed
Joel's
like
the
the host.
original. That's why most people Joel's the original. He was the creator of the show, and but
Yeah.
the thing about Mike was I think the show still is pretty good with Mike
Hmm.
because a lot of the same crew. Cause Mike actually was the head writer during the era when Joel was the host.
Oh
So a
yeah,
lot of the jokes were coming from him, anyways. So he
yeah.
just took over as host, and then you got I'm blanking on their names. I'm sorry, but the guys that end up taking over Crow and Tom Servo were both those guys were already with the show as well,
Mm.
and they took over. But those 3 guys, Mike and Mike and the two other guys, they went on to do uh, riff tracks. Excuse me. They went on to do riff tracks, and
Yeah.
they had another little brief series that was on just very briefly. That was I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that the riff track stuff, some of that's hilarious. Some of the movies they do. See, what's
Mm,
great about that is like I never was really into buying the actually the riff tracks and then putting it with my own movie. I kind of hate that having to dub it or having to sync it.
mm, yeah.
But they sell a lot of movies on there that are, I guess they're more public domain or things they get the rights to. They they sell them combined already, so you can download the whole movie. and
Mm,
so I bought a lot of stuff like that that was combined, or their live shows and things. They do a lot of live shows that are good. They did
yeah.
Birdemic. I don't know if you've ever saw that movie. It was terrible movie
I,
made in a
yeah. I've seen a few. I haven't seen a whole lot of riff tracks, but I've seen a few on YouTube. But I haven't really.
some of them are really good. And yeah, a lot of the stuff that you find they so already combined, or some really good stuff. Like they did it was before it was put on Blu-ray, but they did the Vanilla Ice movie, Cool as Ice or whatever. That the
Oh
name
yeah.
of it? They
Yeah.
did
Cool.
Cool as
Sorry.
Ice, yeah, and I mean just rip him to shreds. Now the
Yeah.
best, since we're on the Mystery Science Theater, now I know you're a Joe Don Baker fan, but they did Mitchell, and that's the final episode with Joel. That's Joel's send off episode, and it's probably one. It's not. If you look at lists, it's never considered one of the best, but I personally think it's one of the best because I mean
Mm,
they just tear Joe Don Baker to shreds in that movie. I mean it's such a goofy movie because he's just like this slouch detective who just kind of bumbles his way through and just completely like fucks up every situation he's in, and like he's not a detective at all. He just go whenever he's like detecting somebody, he just goes up right to him and says, "Yeah, I'm watching you. I'm on stakeout outside your house. I'm watching you." It's just got the worst sex scene in it I've ever seen in my life. You don't see anything obviously, but
yeah.
um, yeah, he's in bed. I can't remember the actress's name. You'd recognize her. It's not. It might be Lonnie Evans or somebody like that. It's one of those '70s
Mm,
blondes or whatever that's in a lot of stuff. I apologize. I can't remember her name, but
yeah.
he's in bed with her, and they're just like rolling around in the sheets. And there's a part of the scene where he reaches with his foot and grabs like a 6-pack of beer, and it's the beer with the plastic tabs. So the ones that had the whatever they're called, the plastic tabs. But he picks it up with his feet while it's in the middle of this scene. It's like the goofiest. Makes it's
I'll have to check that out, man.
yeah,
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 Joe Don Baker's done some pretty good movies, but he's also done some pretty terrible ones at the same time.
yeah.
But
Yeah, they do one of his other movies that came out in the same time period. I can't think of the name of it, but it's where he plays a sheriff and he gets sent to like France or someplace like that to catch a bad guy that had he's supposed to bring him back on extradition charges, and he has to go to like France or something like and track him down, and it's just
yeah,
it's Joe Don Baker in Europe, so you can
yeah,
imagine.
yeah. He's I don't know. He's good at. He's not a. I guess not a what do you call it? A versatile actor. I mean, he could play
Yeah,
Shakespeare one minute, the town sheriff the next minute. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's Joe Don Baker. Well, he's one.
yeah.
But
Now, I've never seen it's supposed to be one of his better movies. I think it's called Odd Shot or something like that that came out in the 70s. I don't know exactly how it's spelled. It's they keep saying it's you're only 2 years from Odd Shot, and I don't know what movie that is.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not really sure about that one. I know he's in some good ones. Obviously, what Walking Tall? He was in Walking Tall, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then he did some good movies with let's see. Oh, I can't find him right now. But yeah, there's a few really good ones that he's in that I have.
God, he's still
Uh,
alive too. You know,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. He worked. He worked a lot with the director. What's his name? Not Don Taylor, but
he's in Fletch.
yeah, he was in Fletch too. Yeah. Oh, he was in Cape Fear, I think, too. The remake of Cape Fear.
Yeah, the movie I'm thinking about, I believe it's called Final Justice. I think that's it.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong about that, but I think they did that movie as well.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. He's pretty good
Uh,
though.
Mitchell came out in '75.
Oh yeah, Mitchell. Yeah. I think these were around. Oh, The Outfit. There's a movie called The Outfit. It's got Robert Duvall, Karen
Oh,
Black, and he's in it. He's in the movie with Walter Matthew,
I know.
what you call it, Charlie Varick.
Yeah, yeah,
He's in that.
He's pretty good in that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
him.
yeah,
I don't dislike him. I just think that it's funny when they make fun of him over there because I mean he's just one of those directors. If he's one of those actors, excuse me, that if he's directed well, that he's does really good job. But if they don't really care, it's just a money movie. He just
hmm
does terrible. Oh,
yeah.
but that was
Well,
a
it's got a
TV
terrible script.
series.
Well, if it's got a terrible script, bad director, then yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be obvious. But
This is that was a TV series I'm talking about. It wasn't a movie. It
oh,
was called Eyes Shide. It's Eischhied. That's how it's spelled. Eischhied. I have no idea.
yeah, I don't think I've heard about that. Heard it before.
I've only heard it by name, but I've never watched. I've obviously never seen it. It only ran for 1 year too, '79 to '80. So one
Hmm.
season or half a season or
Yeah,
yeah, it was a starring role for him in that. So it's kind of weird. He kind of took a TV role like right in the middle of all of these movies. I mean, he has like a good long string of movies, and then just takes a TV role, and
yeah,
then he goes back into making movies. So
yeah,
kind of weird.
yeah. I think he started more being like supporting actors and stuff after that. He'd pop up in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's in that Dukes of Hazard movie. You remember?
Oh yeah, I still
Yeah,
haven't seen that
yeah.
that movie. I never did see it. I
Johnny
need to.
Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but I guess before we get off here, I was going to show you some of the things that I picked up. You might
Oh,
have some. You might have some of this stuff. You can show some of the stuff you picked up lately too. But
yeah.
I've
I got
been.
a couple.
I decided to kind of catch up on the Kino 4Ks. So I picked up
Mm.
this one.
Oh yeah, the apartment.
Yeah, and this one obviously some like it hot
Oh yeah, yeah.
and in the heat of the night.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, I pre-ordered
Yeah.
the for a few dollars more. Oh, I actually bought that recently. It's on its way. I got yeah, the Touch of Evil. I would really like Touch of Evil.
I got that. That's
Oh
Criterion there. Still
yeah,
can't help it.
yeah. I might get that during the 50% off sale this week, this next month or a couple months, whenever that is. Next month, maybe I don't know. Barnes and Noble. I might do that.
I've picked up a few other, a few other. I've bought a lot of stuff lately for some reason because I found a lot of things on Amazon for cheap, especially like the Warner Archive stuff. Like, and I
Hmm.
picked up that
Oh yeah, that's a good
7 Days of
movie.
May
Yeah, that's good.
and this one here, Gene
Like,
Harlow movie.
yeah, that's really funny.
And one of the last Thin Man movie, Song of
Yeah,
the Thin Man. Let's
yeah.
see
I
here.
need to get those.
I picked that up. The Third Man,
Oh
Orson
yeah,
Welles.
yeah. I got that old Criterion DVD of it. I don't. The
Okay.
Blu-ray costs a lot of money. The Criterion version. It's out of print.
Which one is that?
Oh, the Third Man.
Oh, there's a Criterion version of it.
Yeah, I got the DVD version, but the
Oh,
Blu-ray is just like outrageous.
I got on a Billy Wilder kick once I got a couple of those 4Ks, so I tried to pick up some of his other ones.
Oh yeah, Irma La Douce. Yeah.
Yeah, and Avante.
Oh yeah, that's a movie I've never seen by him.
Hmm.
I'm a pretty big fan of Billy Wilder. I haven't seen that one or his last movie, Buddy Buddy, and
Yeah,
I didn't see the version he made, the remake of what do you call it, the newspaper movie, the remake of the one with Cary Grant and Front Page. They did the Front Page. That's
yeah,
I think that's like three movies I haven't seen of his.
yeah.
Um, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one.
Got a lot of those are cheap. That's why I bought so many of them because a lot, except for the 4Ks, some of those 4Ks were not,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But
Yeah, the month of March, I told myself like I'm going to take a break and not buy anything this month and just catch up on some stuff. And it was like, wouldn't you know it, man? Like all this stuff would come out like on sale, um, or just all these deals would come, and I was like, dang, man. Yeah, that's a good movie.
yeah,
The Stranger. Yeah. So I ended up getting some stuff. I got some Shaw Brothers kung fu movies from '88 films. Amazon had a
yeah,
bunch of them real cheap.
yeah. I'm pretty sure this one's 4K. That Written on the Wind. It's really
Oh yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I picked that one up. That's good.
Yeah, got that Philadelphia story. That's just regular.
Yeah, I picked that up too. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't
Yeah,
seen that version of it.
yeah, just stuff like that. Been picking up
Yeah.
stuff. I
Well, this is something I got. My wife got me this for my birthday, which was on April 13th was my birthday. She got me this
Happy birthday.
oh, thanks, man. The 4K Universal Monsters. I guess this is the first set of them with Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Have you
Uh,
looked at any of them yet?
no, I haven't. I haven't popped it in yet. I need to.
I
But
have that set on Blu-ray, and I'm kind of hesitant to rebuy the because I think the set I have is more thorough. It's got I don't think it's they had two or three. I have the smaller the set that looks like that in Blu-ray.
mhm.
It's got quite a few movies on it, but I think they had another set that came out like one of those long box editions that had like several more. It had like three or four extra movies on it. I might be wrong about that, but
Well, yeah, a few years ago they came out with one, and it had all the sequels to each one, like
you know,
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and they had all those on Blu-ray. And I thought, I got them all. I'm happy because I'm a big
yeah,
Universal fan. And then they started coming out with them on 4K, and I told myself I really, it's like, And then my wife
yeah,
got me that, and I was like, well, shit. I guess
it's
I'm,
pretty cool.
yeah. Well, I got that, and I got this Mae West set um,
Oh,
from
that's nice.
Indicate.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that a couple weeks ago. And then I bid on I found this Zatochi. He always misses his name up. Zaltachi, the blind swordsman of the Criterion box set.
yeah,
I got this wrapper on it to keep it safe, but it's oh man, it's all the films. It's a beautiful package. It's got all of them. It's really nice. I did some bidding because it's out of print and it goes really high, and I was like the only bidder on it, and I got it really cheap. I was surprised.
nice, nice.
I got yeah, I was very lucky on that. I got like one more movie to watch on this
Oh yeah, yeah,
indicator, uh, noir number three. I got one more. to watch on here, and then I'll be finished with that box set, and I'll probably do a video on it. Um, I got
Yeah,
stuff. I like to try to watch stuff before I make a video, so I can
yeah.
honestly say something about it without just saying, you know.
I need to get the other two. The reason I bought the third one first is because all the movies on there were not on those Mill Creek sets that I had.
Oh,
The other two sets have some mixed movies in there. Now the other sets do have some different movies than the Mill Creek um,
mhm.
Columbia set. There's a Columbia's right, yeah, the Columbia movies, but they're
Yeah,
film noir. But they're a little. They have a few different ones, but that set had all of them are different. I don't think any of those are on the Mill Creek set, so I went ahead and picked it up. I need to
yeah,
buy the other two before they go out of print and get too expensive to buy.
yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. I think I got it when they first released it and just pre-ordered it because they go way up. I think the first
Yeah,
one is like expensive, and
yeah.
it's because they only
There's
make
this.
6,000 copies of each, so then they pretty much go out of print after a while.
Yeah, they. I don't know what prices are going to do whenever we eventually you know physical media starts slowing down and the actual mainstream companies stop producing stuff. I don't know what the prices are going to be like in the future because that's I just you're like me, you can't really always afford to keep on buying stuff when it comes out. And some of the stuff when it comes out, if you don't buy it when it comes out, you might not have an opportunity to get it. Not at a
Hmm.
good price because now, I know steel books are the rage, but people, if you miss out on the steel books, the price just goes sky high. That's why
Yeah,
I just kind of quit caring about the steel books because I'm just like, I just don't care about the rat race in it. I mean, they're cool. I understand why people like collecting them, but I just tend to just not care anymore. I just kind of collect what I want to collect. Try to get all these old
yeah.
movies because there's so much out there to buy, anyways. Then
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
know I can buy a lot cheaper. A lot of cheaper things than trying to spend a lot of money on one thing. Unless it's a set. Those sets are awesome because they have multiple movies. That's why I like getting them. They're usually worth the money too, especially
yeah,
Indicator because they got really nice quality and good special features.
yeah.
So
I was kind of like wanting to catch up on some of the Criterion box sets that I missed. I was like looking at the Fellini box set, and I was looking at the Ingmar Bergman box set, and I ended up coming across the Zaltochi. Zaltucci. I don't know.
yeah,
Always miss saying the name, but anyways, I came across it, and I was like, "Oh man, I think I'm gonna sneak in and bid on this and see what happens." And I got it. So I'd
yeah.
still like to maybe catch up and get those, the Fellini and Ingmar Bergman ones and stuff. And the Godzilla one, that one's way up there still. It's keeping a real
Oh,
high
really?
resale value. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, I
you're
made
right.
sure. I made
Yeah,
sure
if you don't buy some things when
yeah,
they first come out, then you're lucked out later because you're going to pay
yeah,
double.
yeah. I got it. Well, I'm just a huge Godzilla fan, so when I seen that, I was like, I had to sell my left nut for that. If I have to,
Yeah,
to get that. No, and the Fellini set too. I always like Fellini movies, so I went ahead and bought that as well
yeah,
when they were.
yeah.
But
I've seen a lot of his early movies and stuff. I haven't seen a lot of his later movies, which are more kind of experimental and stuff. I haven't seen a lot of those, so
yeah,
uh, I'll come across it one day and probably get it and stuff. But
yeah. What it's kind of like the Citizen Kane set, like how people weren't very satisfied with the boxing. I'm kind of the same way. I really, I don't watch it. I've seen it so many times. I'm not going to watch it enough for it to really matter. But I
mm,
don't really. I don't like when Criterion kind of when they experiment with their boxing and make like weird try to do some kind of artful kind of boxing on the try some
yeah,
kind of art piece with it.
yeah,
I wish they just kind of stick straightforward. That's why I like Arrow because most of the time their boxes are, for the most part, are straightforward. They're easy to
mm,
get in and out. Because like that's the worst thing about the Godzilla set. It's like in this beautiful book. It's really cool, but like the back, but they put all the disc in those sleeves, and the back page is stiff, so you can't really flex the page to pop the disc out. So it's like really hard to get the discs out. So it's
Yeah,
kind of sucks. I don't
yeah.
like that.
Well, that's how the Zatoichi. I'm gonna say it different every time I say it. Zatoichi set is like it's like that too. It's in the hard page, and you can pull it out and stuff.
And
But yeah, I'm not a big
sometimes that
fan.
works, and sometimes that don't. Now, does the how is the inner pages on the on that Universal, the classic monsters set? How are they?
I think it's similar. I think it's just like that. Here's the.
Oh yeah, well
Oh, they
that's
slide out. They slide out of the side.
yeah, I like that a lot better because that's how
Yeah,
the Hitchcock, my Blu-ray Hitchcock collection is. Well, I got the 4K as well, but
yeah,
that's how the 4K Hitchcock is as well, and I like that format much better
yeah.
because
I
they
do have to deal with that. Yeah, because I think it stays in there better. It's more
yeah
secure, and you don't have to bend. You don't have to mess with it so much. You can just kind of
yeah
gently pull it out, and yeah. Universal seems like they've done that with a lot of different ones. Like you said, I got a Alfred Hitchcock set from probably 8 years ago, and it's like that
yeah.
too. But yeah, that's
You probably got the same Blu-ray set. Is it the Blu-ray set? The
yeah,
Hitchcock, yeah.
hmm yeah. I think it's the Essential or something like that.
Yeah, they re-released. Did I ever? Have you ever seen the 4K? What they did,
Mm-mm.
which they I'll get it and show you what they did with it. Um, if
Well,
you
they
can
had that one.
remember,
Well, they had that one set where they put out four movies. The big name ones, Psycho and Rear Window, and I think Vertigo, um, in a set 4K set and stuff.
yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Do you remember how the other set's laid out? It has those similar pages like you just showed me
Hmm.
in the artwork. Okay, this is exactly the same. Same. They use the same stuff. But now the folders hold the Blu-ray and the 4K.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but unfortunately, I like Hitchcock so much. The second series, the second version of this comes out next week, and I'll
Mm,
probably go ahead and buy it as well in 4K because I'm just a big Hitchcock fan, as you are. And
yeah.
I'll probably buy it like an idiot. Don't really need it because I have the big Blu-ray set, and
Those Blu-rays look really good. I mean, they have really good transfers, and sometimes Blu-ray is as good or even better sometimes in some 4K
yeah,
transfers and stuff. I've heard of some really bad ones and stuff, and some of them will
yeah,
knock your. I mean, I thought the Citizen Kane 4K transfer really was good. It was a
yeah,
very good black and white because I could see stuff in it that I really don't think I noticed before because it was so
yeah.
clear. Some of the little details in the dark and stuff, and I could tell and stuff. But
I, I haven't released my last video. I've recorded it last week. I think the first of last week, and I still hadn't edited it and put it out yet. But I talk about this movie in there a little bit
mm-hmm,
briefly. I talk about what I like about Wells' directing style, and
mm-hmm.
what I like about Orson is the way he directs the cinematographer, the
Oh
way he
yeah,
works with his cinematographers. Because, like, you have maybe a Fellini or not Fellini so much. Fellini's pretty good too with his cinematography, but I'm trying to think of some of your more avant-garde filmmakers. And I've heard other people talk about this. Other film reviewers talk about how they set up scenes and they shoot for they shoot with the camera. The movie's made for the camera, but not for the actors so much. So the scene steals the shot. Steals
yeah,
the 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 camera angle steals the scene
yeah. It's like
instead of, and the actors is just almost second
yeah.
fiddle to the
That's exactly what I was going to say. The actor's only the second part of it all. It's not the
Yeah,
first scene.
yeah.
It's
The
just
the scene steals away from the actor's performance, basically.
yeah.
And I was trying to think of one of that. I was trying to think one of the directors I know that does that over here. I'll look it up in a minute. But what I like about Wells is the way he works with the cinematographer is they achieve that kind of those kind of intriguing shots, but his scenes don't he don't take away from the actors because he's obviously a great actor himself, so he's not going to take away from the actor's performance, but he also shoots like odd angles and the camp does weird camera movements and things, but he doesn't take away but he's able to not take away from the scene, with
Yeah.
the camera camera angle. So,
Yeah, like you've seen
yeah.
Othello, right? Or Orson
Yeah.
Welles'
Yeah.
Othello. It's got a lot
Yeah.
of handheld stuff, and well,
Yeah.
Touch of Evil. I mean, Touch of Evil.
Yeah.
It's got a
Yeah.
really good look to it. It's got a lot of handheld and a lot of.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really looking forward to that 4K and stuff. I got the Blu-ray that's got the three versions. This is going to have all three, versions on it too.
It
Uh,
does. Yeah.
yeah, and
It
but
has
yeah, I always thought that was really cool.
it's the reconstructed cut they call it. It wasn't actually an Orson Welles cut, but it's what they took his notes from the movie and they reconstructed the movie based on his notes, how they felt that he would have put it together. There was what's weird is there was a cut. He did cut it the way he wanted to. He cut it, and then he, like, for some reason, like they said, they never could figure it out why he did it. He did it with he did the same thing with Magnificent Ambersons. Like he directed the movie and then he like fiddled around with it a little bit and then he like left and went to South America. He did the
Mhm.
same thing with Touch of Evil. He just up and left and went to scout out another project, and the studio said, "Well, fuck you. We're gonna do what we want to with it," and they
Yeah,
just ruined it. Like, I mean, the studio came in and reshot scenes, and it didn't even make sense. Like they shot scenes and added into it that didn't really do
hmm
anything for the movie at all.
yeah,
And Orson came back and was pissed, but he couldn't do nothing about it, so it got released like that theatrically.
yeah. It's like the
And
Magnificent Ambersons. They cut well over 30 minutes out of that movie.
yeah,
I mean, it's barely. I think it's like 88 minutes. I mean, that doesn't
yeah,
even seem right. You know what I mean? It's for a drama like that and
yeah,
stuff. I would have loved to have seen the whole version.
yeah.
Because even Citizen Kane is like 119 minutes or something like that, 118 or something like that. I think it seems like it is. It's close to a 2 hour movie. Um, yeah, that's cool. I think, and then that one side's got
It's got
stack.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
stackable. Yeah, that was something I heard about, and I guess I wasn't really thinking about buying it. And the other day I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I gotta get it. So
it's called the preview version. I don't know. Do you know what the difference of the preview version is? Because I
I
don't
can't
think I've
remember
watched
that
that
one.
one.
I think it's closer to the theatrical cut. I think it's just got little differences in it.
Well, actually, I think they did talk about it on the documentary. I think it's just. Oh, I know what it is. They actually just it's a theatrical version, but they tried to fix the problems with it. But what they did, they just extended some of the scenes. They didn't actually change or recut scenes the way Wells would have wanted it. It's just an extended version of each. Some of the scenes are just extended instead of it being a different cut, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, there's some good documentaries on that stuff. That's what I like about Kino, man. They hit it out of the park with their documentaries. That's what I
hmm
hate about the Warner Brother archive stuff. They don't you don't get nothing with them hardly. Rarely you get any kind of documentaries with them.
Well, when they did what was it, Doctor X and Mystery of the Wax Museum, one of those had the black and white version of one. I think it was Doctor X. I want to say, and I think one of them had a documentary on it, which was very rare. And I got Mad Love, and I think that had something on there. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's always disappointing because when they did their
Yeah.
DVDs back in the day, they always had a ton of stuff on there and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I like going back and getting some of those DVDs from back in the early 2000s and
Yeah.
buying them because they got Warner Night at the movies and they got all that extra stuff to it and everything. And,
Yeah.
I got a couple of videos coming out where I look at some DVDs from back in the day, like series,
Yeah.
and to show them because they really went all out, and then Blu-ray came out and they started
Yeah.
slimming down a little bit, but
Yeah.
they went all out back in the day, man, packaging and stuff. And,
Yeah. I mean, as far as right now goes, I mean, everything's still going pretty strong. I'm glad. I'm glad to be able to get a lot of these old movies in any format, but I just try to collect more and more older movies because I just find
Mhm.
I generally get more enjoyment out of them. I mean, there's some good movies. I went and seen Father Stew last night. It wasn't that bad for Mark Wahlberg. He did a pretty good job actually. He's usually kind of Mark Wahlberg in everything he does,
Yeah.
except maybe Boogie Nights. He was kind of good in that. That was really his first movie, so
Mhm.
but he just kind of played himself. But this movie, I've kind of felt like there was some scenes where I felt like you didn't think of him as Mark Wahlberg. He kind of slipped out of that persona. So it was kind of interesting for him. He's not a bad actor, really, coming from what he came from,
Yeah.
and what he's
Put 'em-
done. So,
yeah, you put him in the right situation and stuff, and he really
yeah,
shine. Um, like nowadays, I like to stick with certain directors, and
yeah,
cause I know when they release something new, it's usually something really good, something original.
yeah,
I mean, I think that's what I like about older movies so much because there's so many stories and different stuff that wasn't copies of copies of copies and it was all fresh and original and like 50, 60 years later they still are. I mean, compared to a lot of the stuff we get nowadays, I mean, it's very few good stuff comes out, but there's still good a lot of good movies coming out, but just not as
yeah.
many.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see Doctor Strange tomorrow. See how that is. So
Yeah, my son's wanting to
I
see that.
I enjoy going to the theater still. I just wish the theater, though, if it's not mainstream, that's about all we get anymore. Because Kentucky theater, I just haven't been going down there as much because I haven't went in there in a long time, several years because of COVID. They basically shut completely down.
Yeah.
And the last time I looked, I thought there was kind of an indie movie that came out, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was a kind of a foreign indie. It came out, and I thought, well, maybe they'll have it down there, and they didn't. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was really disappointed because it got some people were talking about it, and
Yeah.
it sounded really good, but it didn't come here.
Well,
So
well, even like 20 or 30 years ago, we were lucky to get a lot of indie stuff. Anyways, like there was just
yeah,
a few. Like for me, I would have to drive to Louisville to a couple of theaters that would show some different stuff like that. Um, but like nowadays, you don't. We're lucky to get what we get anymore at the theater. I mean, it's mostly
yeah,
mainstream stuff.
yeah.
Um,
I'm sure there's a lot of movies I miss that are this release that are not necessarily main because that's the problem. We're going to be getting a lot of that stuff that are not necessarily mainstream because that's just the way things are going to more independent productions. Because I think the Hollywood system's starting to fail. We're seeing this horrible behavior from actors and stuff. You see what's going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and just and other situations, and people they probably just getting sick of it because I mean I love Johnny Depp. I support Johnny Depp because I do think Amber Heard's crazy.
she
And
is.
and and but you listen to him doing his testimony, and then people they had all of his like managers and his financial people, and they're talking about well, and I can understand what the defense were talking about. They were like, well, they were just saying, well, he lost a lot of money because he lost Pirates of the Caribbean because of her. But he still did movies, and he was still like he was making independent movies, still making $3 million a movie, and I can understand what they're getting at. It's like, hey, you still made $13 million last year, I don't think it. In the most your normal American goes like, yeah, it's more
But
movie than I'll ever make in 10 lifetimes.
yeah, but for him, that's like maintenance money, to maintain
Yeah,
all the fleet of cars and pay the electric on his different houses and, stuff
yeah,
like that. He's got to keep a certain level of money coming in
yeah.
and stuff like
No,
that.
no, 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 no. I'm not downing him about it, but I'm just saying,
Oh, no.
that's exactly what they were trying to achieve. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were trying to be like, well, he still maintained a pretty good lifestyle, even though but it's just a different world, this some of the money some of these people are paid, but because he was going to be paid like $22 million for the Pirate Six or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't end up making that, did they?
No, no, because
Because they
they
really need.
canceled him. Well, he got canceled and they canceled it. They see that was the big thing that was the big thing in the defense. They were basically trying to say, well, there wasn't actually a contract. They didn't actually have a physical contract for that, and they were like, well, no, not really. It was a word of mouth kind of handshake deal. But
Oh, yeah.
but there was probably what they never did mention though is like usually actors have multi movie contracts. I mean, maybe he was special and was able just to have a single movie at a time contract for that series. And most of the time, they'll have a multi-deal contract for multiple movies in a franchise, just so they can guarantee he comes back. So I don't
Yeah.
understand why he didn't have that in place. Anyways, there may not have been a financial agreement beforehand, depending on the success of the last movie, but I
Yeah.
don't. There
Well,
probably was. They probably tore it all up though. Whenever he,
yeah. Well, it's like Robert Downey Jr. He's like one of the was or is still one of the highest paid, actors, you know, currently and stuff. And I kind of put him up there with Johnny Depp and stuff. And
yeah.
I mean, they, I mean, Johnny Depp should be set. If he never made another movie, he should be able to live
Well,
comfortably the rest of his life. You know?
all the stuff that happened. You know about him losing his money, didn't you? You knew about all that. He lost
Yeah.
like $650 million.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
his former financial supervisor person swindled him out of like $650 million, and I
Oh,
don't know why that he never sued for that or couldn't sue for it, but yeah, he was like Nicolas Cage. He had the same thing happen. He just had crooked money managers, and they just swindled him out of all his money.
yeah.
Like yeah, he lost like that's why he started selling off everything. And then on top of everything, he owed the government like an additional like $150 million or something like that for back taxes
Oh,
that
wow.
wasn't getting paid. So all that's squared away, and I think some evidently something happened because but that's why that's such a big deal about him losing the money because that's when Amber Heard initially, basically a month after they found out he lost all his money, she filed for divorce.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
She's only in it for the money and stuff, but
yeah, she
yeah.
only, if you notice, well, except maybe James Franco, but she was messing around with uh, what's his name, Tesla.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Elon Musk
Elon
or
Musk. He was messing around
Elon
with
Musk.
him, and
Yeah.
but she's like, she goes out. She's been married to a woman before. I think she was married to a woman before Johnny, or she was dating a woman for sure. But she looks like when she finds somebody rich, a rich man, she switches over to a man. And
Yeah.
yeah, seeing her previous, I don't know if she was married to her or it was a girlfriend, but her previous relationship or one of her previous female relationships, she was arrested for domestic abuse
Oh,
by
wow.
abusing that woman. And like it's been kind of covered up, but she was arrested for abusing the girlfriend that she was involved with, or wife, or whatever it was beforehand. So she's
Yeah.
got a track record. And she's up on stand right now. I don't know if you've seen any of it the last couple of days, but it's
I
just,
thought she was wanting to like try to drop the case or something. I think she knows she's losing it, so I think she's trying to something. But I think the judge said no to it or something, and something like that. But
Uh,
she's just a gold digger, man. She doesn't really have any real talent on her own.
yeah.
She's just climbing the ladder of wherever she can get in, fit in, kind of thing.
Well,
So
she was. I mean, the way she's describing all of this stuff is just like this is the most horrific. He's the most horrific person. I mean, it's just over the top, unbelievable. The way she keeps like kind of mock crying too, but she never does having tears. She's had so much Botox she can't cry, but
well,
she's
that's what somebody was saying, that she's got the bruising on her face was from the Botox where
yeah.
she had just got implants, so her
Well, she's
face.
got like she's got like cheek implants. You can see
Yeah,
them; they look horrible. If you see her pictures, like her on stand, like they look bruised, like on the stand. They look messed up now, and she's not even.
yeah,
So who knows? I mean, a lot of the pictures are just there's no evidence of what she's claiming. What she claims to be evidence, she has no proof of. There's
yeah,
no like all the pictures they've taken of her supposedly having bruised face and stuff like that. They're just mild like cases that could have been, but like the kind of thing she's diagnosed, like a cluster B diagnosis, it's just like her. It's like a narcissistic kind of state of mind, the way she kind of
yeah,
is.
yeah,
They do stuff like that. They take pictures. They document stuff that, like, if they bump into a door and get a bruise on the arm, they take a picture of it. Like a guy I follow on, he talks about it a lot because his mom was this personality, and she used to claim that her dad beat her. He claimed that his dad would beat her, but he wasn't. He wasn't doing it, but she would. No, I'm sorry. It's a girl that I follow. She used to talk, but her mom was like kind of crazy, and she would do stuff like this. If she got a bruise from just walking into a door or something, she would take pictures of it, take Polaroid pictures of it. Like every time she had an injury, she took pictures of it so she could like basically blackmail her husband. Be like,
yeah.
well, if you do this, I'm going to the police saying that you beat me. You know, and that's
Well,
kind of what she's doing. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that Johnny Depp is winning, because it's kind of showing a reverse cancellation in Hollywood. There's so many people's careers are being ruined, getting
Yeah.
canceled over petty stuff or stuff that happened years ago, and it's good that the real stuff's coming out about her, and hopefully his career won't be over this stupid stuff, but it's just so
Yeah.
much of what goes on nowadays. It's like whatever, and you get canceled, and it's just ridiculous. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't. It's that's what gives that situation a bad name. You always need to believe it should always be innocent until proven guilty, but the
Hmm.
world sees so many things now. You see like Brett Kavanaugh and his situation on the Supreme Court. It was all a bunch of lies. It was just he was guilty and proved till he was guilty until proven innocent. It was with the media, and it was all just a pack of lies. None of it that was true. You got to believe both sides equally. You can't just believe what women say or what you can also believe what men say. Because some
Yeah,
men people do abuse people. There are women that do get abused. I mean, they're real situations, but these situations like Amber Heard is making that hard for women to come out and be believed because
yeah.
it's actually having the opposite effect of the Me Too movement, which
Mhm.
was probably the goal in the first place, not to actually strengthen that, but to actually destroy that resolve in the long run.
Yeah, it's not so much strengthening the woman,
Yeah,
in whatever case. It's by destroying the man somehow,
yeah,
by any means necessary, in a way. And you're right about that. I mean, it's kind of backfired on her. She was going to try to use that as the whatever, to win a
yeah,
case and ruin him and stuff. And yeah, women, it's a fact, women every day get abused, and but at the same time, there are men out there who get abused, and they get abused because they don't want to retaliate and abuse the woman, so they kind of take it, or they're in
Yeah.
some kind of situation like that, like a marriage or something. But yeah, it happens also. I mean, it's not always the man's not always the aggressor. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be messed up to believe that, only that a man
Yeah.
is capable of that. But there's I've known some women out there that were very some mean
Yeah.
people out there, and they weren't
Oh
so
yeah.
nice
Yeah.
spouse and stuff. So
Well, you see some of these country women here in Kentucky. They can dole out what they this they can give out some punishment just as much as a man can. There's a lot of I've seen, especially living in small towns, I've seen a lot of hefty women married to little skinny guys that probably couldn't do nothing against the women.
yeah, yeah, big old woman, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
that's not always, and a lot of times those relationships, the woman is dominant in those relationships.
yeah, but yeah, I think that's kind of the what it boils down to with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I think she was going to try to spin the Me Too thing, like I was abused, and he's this guy and he does this and it's all his fault, and I think it's really falling apart on her now. It's a shame that she would use that, to use that, like, I'm abused and stuff, when
Yeah,
there's real people out there that get really abused every day and stuff, and
yeah.
she's just making a mockery of it all and stuff, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, what I when I it's hard to even watch her testifying because it's just like a performance. It just looks like a performance to me because it's so over the top and it's so detailed. When Johnny testified, I'm not saying that he wasn't performing as well, but he
Yeah,
was at least in his more. I think he's kind of shy like that. I think that's what everybody says. He's kind of quiet and shy, so he's kind of a little more backwards. So I felt like it was more real coming from him. I'm not saying it was any more real, but hers
hmm
seems like a performance out of control
yeah,
because
he seemed to be more relaxed. I mean, you can kind of see the relaxed enough to where you believe him. Like he's sitting there, he's not, But yeah, he made little jokes and stuff. And, he was kind of, because they know the camera's on him the whole
yeah.
time, so they're going
Well,
to.
if you notice, he never did turn and address the jury. He never really faced the jury much. He may have looked over a couple times when talking, but she's just like constantly just playing to the jury, which is bad to do because a lot of the people I watch are lawyers or got law knowledge, and they said that's you do not do that because the jury doesn't want you don't supposed to perform to the jury.
Yeah,
The jury wants to see your reactions. They want to see how you handle yourself, but they don't want you to be fake. They don't want to look you. You don't want to look the jury in the eyes like
yeah.
that,
You don't
like
you
she's
don't want to
doing.
you don't want to pander to them.
Yeah, and she's like constantly like performing to him with like it's a and she's you can tell she's not a great actress because she keeps doing this stuff like it's just over the top everything she's explaining because we've already heard his testimony and how it's explained and on top of all the people who are but of course these people are connected to him and around him but they don't necessarily have necessarily a reason to cover for him but I
Yeah,
mean they could they're his friends so possibly they're not going to say much but I tend to believe them because a lot of them are like professionals like law enforcement or that one guy was like the one of his bodyguards was like a correctional officer in a prison so him being able to recognize injuries and people's behavior would be pretty I'd say he'd be pretty point on for that kind
yeah,
of duty all those guys are highly trained and
mm,
I don't necessarily think they would necessarily lie either when it comes to because if you lie in court and get caught lying in court, you're probably not going to get any clientele, especially in the protection business.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he has too much stuff to cover up. I think he's been pretty
Yeah,
honest and stuff. He's admitted to the things he's done, and so
like if you listen to her testimony, she's like, it's like she ends basically every story or every little synopsis she's talking about by saying, "Well, he passed out. He's like he was doing drugs or drinking and passed out. He's just always passed out. He's just constantly passed out." And you have all these people testify and say he never was late. That one guy did say, "Well, we do kind of." He didn't ever say outright he would come to set late, but he said, "Yeah, well, we kind of look past that for certain people in Hollywood." But I don't know if he was saying that he was. He kind of compared him to Marilyn Monroe, but Marilyn Monroe's not a good example, especially some like it Hot Days because she was, but really notorious about not showing up on time for that. But I don't. But other people said no, he always was professional and came to set on time. The Pirates of the Caribbean people, stuff like that. So a lot of the things she's like completely reversing everything he's saying and just like over dramatizing everything. And her detail with everything is like it's been rehearsed, like it's
Yeah.
been written and rehearsed or
Well,
or,
her
or memorized. Excuse me. Yeah.
her like ending everything with he blacked out or something. That's
Yeah.
kind of almost to discredit him to make it look like he doesn't remember what happened because he blacked
Yeah.
out.
Hmm.
He's not even sure about what he's saying. It kind of looks like she's kind of spin it that way, to make it kind of
Yeah.
discredit him a little bit.
Yeah, I thought the same thing this afternoon when I was watching. I was like, yeah, she's trying to make it look like he goes into this blind blackout rage, and I
Hmm.
don't know this person. That's what she's saying, and everybody else is like, well, when he drinks, he don't really seem much different. Most of them never seen him to the point of staggering around drunk.
Well, it sounds like to me they had a really, you know, a relationship kind of built on a lot of fighting, and I think they would get rough with each other, but I think
Yep.
whatever it was that went too far a couple times, and she seems to be the aggressor. She seemed like he would
Yeah.
talk a lot about, well, I would go to this room and shut the door and just stay in there and try
Yep.
to stay away from her so she would calm down.
Yeah.
And he said he would do that all the time, and she would make him out like he was a wimp and didn't want to
Yeah.
fight with her and stuff. But see, that's the
Yeah.
whole problem. She wants to fight, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
but it just sounds like one of those relationships where it's just built on a lot of stuff like that. I've seen people like that in real life. So
Yeah.
just a toxic relationship, really, just wasn't. But I
Yeah.
think once he started losing money, I think she needed an out, a way
Yeah.
out. So bringing that up and sue
Yeah.
him or get what little bit more money from him and stuff and discredit him. And it's all just. I think it's
Well,
backfiring on her now because it's.
Well, like yesterday's testimony, she was talking about how they were driving and they had their dogs with him and he grabbed one of the dogs and held it out the window. And what they're doing, what she's doing is she's replacing the dogs with children. Like if, she can't, they didn't have children together, so they couldn't. I mean, he has children from another wife, but they're grown. But if they had had children, it would have been child abuse. She'd have had him beating the children, and
Yeah.
so she's replacing the animals with animal abuse, like he was, you know, all this crazy stuff like that. It's just
Yeah. I mean, if
over
it's
the top. Yeah,
if it's all untrue, like I suspect it is, I mean, that's true. I mean, she's just thinking of every little thing possible to, or turn some incident and add more to it, or just make it look worse than it is. Or, I don't know. To me, it's just like it was just a bad, toxic relationship that they didn't need to be together. I think
yeah,
it was just pretty ugly.
yeah, 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 definitely. Well, we're coming up. We're a little over 2 hours, so I don't
Yeah.
know about you. I'm tired. I'm getting tired.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long day.
Well, everybody that's watched tonight, if you guys want to come check us out next week, we'll be doing Jaws. Hope to get some more participation next week. This is kind of last minute this week. Next week, I'll try to get some posters out earlier. I've been
Mhm.
bad about doing anything lately. I've just been kind of taking a break from YouTube and
Mhm.
everything other than doing some the live feeds and things like that. I haven't been doing a whole lot, so I've
Yeah.
been I just haven't really been making videos and stuff. I just been taking a break, really.
Yeah. I haven't shot any video in probably 3, 4 weeks. I've been editing stuff that I had and put out new stuff, but I haven't really made any fresh stuff yet. So,
Yeah,
but I've been kind of taking
yeah,
a break myself a little bit.
yeah, definitely. Well, I had a good time
Yeah.
talking about Mars Attacks. Next
Yeah.
week, during the week, I'll sit down and watch Jaws and make notes and try to figure out some little more interesting things to talk about. I was wanting to do with Mars Attacks. It's such a I I jumped around a whole lot trying to explain different scenes and things like that. Oh, before we go, my favorite scene in Mars Attacks. If you ever anybody survived to the end of this, watching, my favorite scene is wherever they shoot the nuclear missile at the aliens, and that little bitty robot goes out and stops it and absorbs all the nuclear blast, and it goes back into the ship, and the main guy, he smokes it like he's smoking weed, or it's like a helium balloon or something, and he just starts talking high pitch.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
It's a crazy movie. I mean, it's just it's funny and it's it's not the best movie ever made, but it's
Yeah,
funny and you come back to it a lot. It's got a lot of quotable things and
yeah,
stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great summer movie in my opinion.
yeah. I'll get a hold of GCap this week and see if he wants to. If he don't, then it's all right as well. But
Yeah.
hopefully he'll join us and give us his
Yeah.
insight on the movie. It's
Yeah,
always
that would be
done.
really cool. I'd love to hear his, take on it too.
I might have like Charlie or something. My other from Cult of Collectors come on one if there's some movie he might want to choose, not choose, but want a movie that we choose that he might want to be interested in talking about. If it's in
Yeah.
the '80s or something or '90s, he'll definitely be into it. Might
Oh
bring
yeah.
him on for Independence Day or something. I do want to do Independence Day on Independence Day or close to it. Whenever I know we probably won't be able to do it on actual 4th, but that Thursday closest to the 4th this year, we'll try to do an
Hmm.
Independence Day special.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
And I would like to talk about Independence Day and Resurgence because Resurgence isn't a great movie, but I still like watching it. It's like one of those movies I like to sit. It's kind of I don't know. It's got this kind of thing to it. I like to watch it. It's not a good movie, but we'll talk about both of them.
To be honest, I haven't seen it yet. I need to.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not by choice. I just haven't got a chance to see it yet. So I think I might find a copy and
Look
see if it's stream yet.
look at Walmart. Oh man. Before you buy it, let me look through my stuff because I have 2 copies of the 4K set, and I bought one. I'd ordered one, and it came in, and the box was kind. I ordered one off eBay, and the box was kind of screwed up, so I rebought it. I don't know why I did that, but I rebought it.
Mhm.
It's not real bad, but I'll send it to you. But it has both of them. It was a 2-pack set they sold at Walmart for like $20 or something. You could
Okay.
find it,
Okay.
and
Yeah. I'd
I'll have to
appreciate.
go through a bunch of boxes to find it. I don't know where it is exactly, but I'll find it and send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. We
Because
got.
I have to send you that other box anyway. I was telling you about the
Oh yeah.
that that so
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
let you have it because I'm pretty sure I still have it. Yeah yeah
Okay. Yeah. I can check that out.
yeah. I'll try to find that here soon because it'll be 4th of July before we know it. So
Oh yeah. April went by lightning
yeah
fast in my
yeah.
opinion.
Well, thanks for everybody for stopping by. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I guess to my channel and to Mike's channel. Check out Mike Dag and YouTube for it's Mike's Blu-rays and DVDs and Dag Films
Yeah.
on Instagram as well. And I'm Low IQ Media on Instagram and YouTube. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you the next time.
All right. See you guys.